The coffee cup hit the floor exactly 3 seconds before Elena Ross made her choice. She could let the arrogant surgeon bleed out on the operating table, or she could blow her cover and reveal who she really was. 22 years of classified operations, hundreds of lives saved in desert hellholes that didn't officially exist, and now she was being called the cleaning lady by a man who couldn't tell the difference between a severed artery and a paper cut. The wounded Navy SEAL commander lying in Trauma Bay 3 knew the truth. He'd seen those hands before, covered in his brother's blood in Kandahar. And when he opened his eyes and saw her face, everything was about to change. Before we dive into Elena's story, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single moment of this incredible journey. And comment below with your city so I can see how far this story travels. Now, let me take you back to where it all began. The badge said Elena Ross, RN. But that wasn't her real name. Nothing about her was real anymore, except the pain. The kind that woke her at 3 a.m. when the heating pipes clanged like mortar fire, and her hands reached for a weapon that wasn't there. "Ross! Hey, Ross!" The voice cut through the antiseptic smell of the supply room, that sharp hospital odor that never quite covered the copper tang of blood underneath. Ina looked up from the crash cart she'd been organizing, her fingers automatically positioning the atropine on the second shelf where a left-handed surgeon could grab it without looking. Dr. Marcus Blackwood filled the doorway. 6'2", silver temples, a watch that cost more than she made in 3 months. Behind him, 3 other doctors huddled around a phone screen, their laughter bouncing off the sterile walls. "Yes, doctor." "Third time this week you've restocked this cart wrong." He didn't step closer. Didn't need to. His voice carried the weight of a man used to being obeyed. "Atropine goes on the 3rd shelf. Did they skip basic organization at whatever online diploma mill you graduated from?" The atropine was exactly where it needed to be. Elena had watched Dr. Chen, the cardiothoracic surgeon, grab for medications during a code last week. Left-handed. Slight tremor in her right hand. Early Parkinson's, maybe? Or just too much caffeine. Either way, the atropine was positioned for success, not protocol. But explaining that meant explaining how she'd spent 20 years analyzing every detail that separated the living from the dead. "I'll fix it, doctor." "See that you do." Blackwood's smile was surgical, precise, designed to cut. "Try to keep up with the pace around here. My pregnant intern moves faster than you." Behind him, Dr. Amanda Chen snorted. "Maybe we should get her a walker." More laughter, the kind that felt like shrapnel. Elena's hands didn't shake, not yet. They only trembled when she was still, when her nervous system had nothing to do but remember the vibration of Black Hawk rotors and the percussion wave of IEDs cooking off in the Afghan sun. "Will that be all?" "Actually, no." Blackwood stepped inside, lowering his voice. The others couldn't hear now, but they watched. Always watching. "I've been reviewing your incident reports. 17 procedural violations in 3 months. You know what that means?" "Termination." "Smart." Another smile. "So here's free advice. Quit before I fire you. Those shaky hands? Get them checked. Could be Parkinson's. Could be you're a drunk. Either way, you're a malpractice suit with a pulse." He left. The others followed, their laughter fading down the corridor like smoke. Elena stood alone, gripping the cart's edge. The metal was cold, real. Her knuckles had gone white. A coffee cup appeared in her peripheral vision. "Don't." James Park leaned against the doorframe, holding 2 cups from the nurse's station. Night shift nurse practitioner, 12 years at Metropolitan General, the only person who'd spoken to her like a human being in 3 months. "Don't what?" Elena took the coffee. Hospital coffee. Tasted like burnt rubber and defeat. Whatever you're thinking. Blackwood's a bastard. Ignore him. I am ignoring him. Liar. James glanced down the hallway where Blackwood had disappeared. You ex-military? The question landed like a flashbang. Elena kept her face neutral. Why? You organize supplies like you're prepping for combat. He nodded at the crash cart. And the atropine's perfect where it is. I'm left-handed, I noticed. Before Elena could respond, the PA system crackled. Code Blue, Emergency Department. Code Blue, Emergency Department. James was already moving. Ina grabbed her stethoscope and followed, her mind shifting gears. Code Blue meant someone was dying. Code Blue meant she had work to do. They hit the ED at a dead run. The automatic doors were still opening when Elena saw the ambulance outside, lights painting the wet pavement red and blue. November rain hammered the roof. The sound reminded her of helicopter blades. What have we got? James called to the paramedics. Female, 18, MVA with massive chest trauma. The lead paramedic was doing compressions, his face slick with sweat. She was conscious at the scene. Now she's circling the drain. BP's 70/40 and dropping. The gurney crashed through the doors. Elena caught a glimpse of blonde hair matted with blood. Young face, maybe 18. The same age as the translator in Helmand who'd bled out in her arms while she screamed for a medevac that arrived 10 minutes too late. Trauma 1! Blackwood appeared from nowhere, his voice sharp as a scalpel. I want a full panel, type and cross for 10 units, and get me films, now! The ED exploded. Nurses swarmed. Monitors beeped. Someone was cutting away blood-soaked clothing while another started a second IV line. The controlled chaos Elena knew by heart. Except here they called it organized medicine instead of triage under fire. She stayed back. She wasn't assigned to trauma. She was assigned to triage. The drunks, the minor burns, the patients who wouldn't die. But something was wrong. Elena could feel it, the way she'd felt ambushes in Kandahar, a crawling sensation between her shoulder blades that said, danger, threat, wrong. Heart rate's dropping, a nurse's voice cut through the noise. 60, 50. Paddles, Blackwood positioned the defibrillator. Charging to 200. Through the trauma bay window, Elena watched Blackwood place the paddles. Watched him shock the girl, once. Twice. Watched the monitor flatline. Nothing! 300! Doctor? Dr. Chen ran in with X-ray films, clipping them to the light board near the window. I've got— Not now, Amanda, I'm trying to save a life. But Elena saw the films. Even from 10 feet away, even through the glare of fluorescent lights, she saw what Blackwood missed. Tension pneumothorax, right side, air trapped in the chest cavity, collapsing the lung, putting pressure on the heart. Every compression Blackwood did was forcing more air into that space, killing the girl faster. He's killing her, Elena whispered. James followed her gaze to the X-rays. Jesus Christ, should I? He won't listen. They both knew it was true. Blackwood was the type who believed doubt was weakness and asking for help was career suicide. Inside the trauma bay, the monitor screamed a single tone. Asystole, flatline. Time of death, 21:47. Blackwood pulled off his gloves, throwing them at the waste bin. They missed. Damn it, someone notify the family. And get me an ID on this girl. A nurse checked the purse they'd cut away from the body. Catherine Morrison. Blackwood froze. Actually froze, like someone had hit pause on his perfect surgeon routine. Morrison? As in Senator Morrison? His daughter. The temperature in the room dropped 20 degrees. Senator Richard Morrison, chairman of the Armed Services Committee, former Navy aviator, and a man who could end careers with a phone call. Oh, God. Blackwood's face went the color of old bandages. Get me the administrator. Right now. Elena didn't wait for permission. She pushed through the trauma bay doors before anyone could stop her. Hey, you can't! She was already past the nurse, moving with the efficiency of someone who'd performed emergency medicine under mortar fire. 3 steps to the gurney. Catherine Morrison was still warm. The monitor showed flatline, but Elena's trained eye caught what the others missed. Faint flutter in the neck, carotid pulse. Barely there, but there. She's not dead. Blackwood spun. What the hell are you doing in here? Security! She has a tension pneumothorax, right side. You need to decompress, now. This girl is dead. I called it! Elena grabbed a 14-gauge 1.5 catheter from the crash cart. The biggest needle they had. She'd used the same size in Fallujah when a Marine took shrapnel to the chest, and she'd had to decompress him in a Humvee doing 60 on a bomb-cratered road. Stop her! Blackwood shouted. 2 nurses moved. Elena was faster. 20 years of muscle memory didn't forget. Second intercostal space, mid-clavicular line, right side. The spot she could find blindfolded, in the dark, with one hand tied behind her back. She jabbed the needle through skin, through muscle, between ribs, into the pleural cavity. Hiss. Air rushed out like a punctured tire. The monitor beeped. Once. Twice. Catherine Morrison's chest rose with a shuddering gasp. Oh my God. James's voice was barely a whisper. She's back. The trauma bay erupted. Nurses descended, monitors adjusted, oxygen saturation climbing. 60%. 70. 80. Blackwood stared at the monitor like he was watching a magic trick he couldn't figure out. Elena stepped back. Her hands were shaking now, adrenaline draining away and leaving the familiar tremor. She looked at them, these hands that had saved hundreds, and watched them betray her again. Someone explain what just happened. Administrator Marcus Sterling appeared in the doorway. Thin, expensive suit. The kind of man who measured success in dollars, not lives. Blackwood found his voice. Mr. Sterling, we were performing emergency resuscitation. The patient presented with cardiac arrest, and I directed my team to perform a needle decompression to relieve a tension pneumothorax. Elena's head snapped up. He was lying, taking credit. Again. James opened his mouth. Elena caught his eye and shook her head. Let it go. Good work, Doctor. Sterling looked at the monitors. This girl's father is Senator Morrison. I assume you're aware? Of course. We're providing the best possible care. See that you do. I'll be making calls. Keep me updated. Sterling left. The trauma bay returned to organized chaos. Nurses stabilized Catherine, prepped her for ICU transfer. Dr. Chen ordered scans and consultations. Blackwood never looked at Elena. Ross. His voice was cold. Dead. My office. Now. She followed him out of the trauma bay, down the corridor, into his third-floor office. He closed the door. Locked it. Sit. I'd rather. That wasn't a request. Elena sat. Her spine screamed, old shrapnel grinding against vertebrae. She wanted to go home. Take her pills. Sleep for a week. Blackwood leaned against his desk. What you did was reckless, dangerous, and completely inappropriate. I saved her life. You got lucky. His voice cracked. Just for a second, the mask slipped. You performed an invasive procedure without authorization. Do you have any idea what would have happened if you'd hit the intercostal artery? If you'd punctured her heart? I knew what I was doing. Oh, really? The mask was back. And where exactly did you learn to perform a needle decompression? Your community college online program? Elena could tell him the truth right now. She could explain that she'd performed that procedure 47 times under combat conditions, that she'd been trained by trauma surgeons who operated in tents while rockets fell, that she held certifications most civilian doctors would never achieve. But the moment she revealed who she was, she'd stop being invisible. She'd become the veteran, the hero, the special one. And she didn't want that. She wanted normal. She wanted peace. "I read a lot," Elena said. Blackwood laughed. No humor in it. "You read a lot. Fine. Here's what happens next. I'm writing you up for insubordination and practicing outside your scope. This goes in your permanent file. One more incident, one more time you play doctor, and you're done. Clear?" "Yes, doctor." "Get out." Elena stood. Her legs felt like they belonged to someone else. She made it to the door. "And Ross?" Blackwood's voice stopped her. "Don't expect gratitude. That girl's alive because of my team, not you." She left without responding. The corridor was empty. Night shift quiet. Elena walked to the locker room, grabbed her jacket and bag, headed for the exit. Her shift didn't end for 4 more hours, but she was done. Tomorrow she'd resign. Find something else. Somewhere she wouldn't have to prove herself every single day. She pushed through the employee exit into the parking lot. Chicago November cold hit like a slap. Rain had turned to sleet. She should have worn a warmer coat. "Elena, wait!" James jogged across the lot, breath misting. "You left." "I know." "Don't quit. I know that's what you're thinking, but don't. It's not about him." "The hell it isn't." James stepped closer. "I just watched you save a girl's life using a technique I've only seen in military trauma manuals. You moved like a special operations medic. So I'm asking again, who are you?" "Nobody. Just a nurse who screwed up." "That wasn't." A black SUV screeched into the lot, government plates, tires smoking. 2 men in dark suits jumped out. "Where is she?" The first man was military. Everything about him screamed it. The haircut, the posture, the way he moved. "Catherine Morrison, where?" A security guard tried to stop him. "Sir, you need to—" The man flashed a badge. "Secret Service, Senator Morrison's daughter. Where?" "I see you. 3rd floor, but—" They were already inside. "This is going to get complicated," James said. He had no idea. Elena's phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Phoenix, we have a situation. Need you back. Call a SAP." Phoenix. Her old call sign. Nobody had used it in 3 years. Elena deleted the message. She was done being a soldier, done with missions and operations and the constant adrenaline. She'd retired, disappeared, started over. But at that exact moment, another ambulance was pulling up to the emergency entrance. No sirens, no lights, just 6 men in tactical gear surrounding a stretcher. Elena saw them through the glass doors. Saw the blood. Saw the unconscious man they were protecting. And then she saw his face. Her heart stopped. Commander Marcus Hammer Morrison, Navy SEAL. The man who'd led the raid in Kandahar. The man who knew every classified operation she'd ever run. The man who could destroy her new life with 1 sentence. And someone had put 3 bullets in his chest. "Elena?" James grabbed her arm. "You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." She had. The tactical team was moving fast, professional, scanning for threats. Their body language screamed high-value target. Their weapons, concealed but visible to someone who knew what to look for, screamed danger. One of them looked up, looked right at Elena through the glass. She saw recognition flash across his face. And then the man did something that made her blood run cold. He touched his earpiece, spoke into it, never took his eyes off her. James was still talking. Should probably go back inside. Make sure Catherine's stable. But Elena wasn't listening. Because the tactical team was wheeling Commander Morrison through the doors now, and one of them was walking straight toward her with the kind of purpose that said, "We need to talk." He was huge. 6'5", maybe 270, all muscle. Beard, scar running down his neck, eyes that had seen too many bad things and made peace with it. He stopped 3 feet from Elena. "Ma'am." His voice was surprisingly gentle for a man his size. "Commander Morrison's been asking for you." James looked confused. "I think you have the wrong Lieutenant Reyes." The man used her real name, her real rank. "The commander's been shot. He's been unconscious for 40 minutes, but before he went under, he said 3 words. Find Phoenix. Now." Elena felt the parking lot tilt. "I think you have the wrong person," she said. Her voice sounded far away. "No, ma'am, I don't." The man stepped closer. "I'm Master Chief Kai Sullivan, call sign Doc. We served together. Kandahar, Operation Red Wings 2. You saved my life when I took shrapnel to the femoral. You jammed your fist into my groin and held pressure for 40 minutes while we waited for evac." James was staring at Elena. "What is he talking about?" "You held that artery," Sullivan continued, "and you told me a joke. You said, 'Doc, I'm literally holding your balls in my hand, so you better ask me to marry you when this is over.' And I laughed so hard I almost bled out." Elena remembered. God, she remembered. The dust, the blood, the kid, because Sullivan had been just a kid then, maybe 23, screaming and crying and trying to be brave. "That was 15 years ago," Elena whispered. "Yes, ma'am, and I never forgot." Sullivan's expression hardened. "Ma'am, the commander's in bad shape. Someone hit our convoy. Professional, organized. They weren't trying to capture. They were trying to kill. And the commander knows something important enough that they're willing to attack a hospital to finish the job." "Attack a what?" "We have intel suggesting a second team is en route. ETA unknown. Could be an hour, could be 10 minutes. Sullivan glanced at the hospital. "Ma'am, I need you to come with me. The commander specifically asked for you. He said you're the only one he trusts." Elena looked at James, looked at Sullivan, looked at the hospital where she'd tried so hard to disappear. "I'm just a nurse," she said. "No, ma'am." Sullivan's eyes were steady. "You're Lieutenant Commander Elena Reyes, Air Force Pararescue, call sign Phoenix. 22 years of service, 416 combat saves. Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars. And according to the commander, the best combat medic he's ever seen." James made a sound like someone had punched him. "That's not—" Elena started. "Ma'am," Sullivan's voice dropped. "The commander's dying, and before he goes, he needs to tell you something. Something about the people who shot him, and something about why they might be coming for you next." The sleet was falling harder now, melting on Elena's face like tears. She'd tried so hard to leave this behind. The missions, the killing, the impossible choices. She'd tried to be normal, but normal was a lie she'd told herself. Because once you'd been Phoenix, once you'd pulled men back from death in the desert while bullets sang overhead, you couldn't just stock crash carts and take orders from men who'd never seen real trauma. "Take me to him," Elena said. Sullivan nodded once. "This way, ma'am." As they walked toward the entrance, James grabbed her arm. "Elena, what the hell is going on?" She looked at him. Really looked at him. This good man who'd shown her kindness when no one else had. "I'm sorry I lied," she said. "About everything." "Are you in danger?" "Probably." Do you need help? Elena smiled. It was a sad smile, a soldier's smile. Yeah, I need you to do something for me. Name it. When the shooting starts, Elena said, get everyone away from the windows. She left James standing in the parking lot, mouth open, as she followed Sullivan into the hospital. Inside, the tactical team had cleared a path to Trauma Bay 3. Blackwood was there, of course, already barking orders, already trying to take control. I need a full trauma panel, 6 units of blood, and someone get me. He stopped when he saw Elena. Ross, what are you doing back? I told you to. Sullivan stepped between them. Sir, step aside. Excuse me? Do you know who I am? Don't care. Sullivan didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. This is a matter of national security. Step aside, or be moved aside. Blackwood sputtered. You can't just... One of the other operators, younger, maybe 30, with cold eyes, put a hand on Blackwood's chest. Sir, move. Blackwood moved. Elena approached the gurney. Commander Morrison was unconscious, hooked to monitors, his chest wrapped in pressure bandages. 3 entry wounds. High caliber. Professional shooter. But he was breathing, still fighting. Elena checked his vitals. BP low but stable. Heart rate irregular. Breathing labored. He's been in and out, Sullivan said quietly. Keeps asking for you. As if on cue, Morrison's eyes fluttered open. They were gray, sharp. Even half dead, they were the eyes of a predator. His gaze found Elena. Recognition. Relief. And something else. Fear. His lips moved. No sound came out. Elena leaned close. I'm here, Commander. I'm right here. Morrison's hand shot up, grabbing her wrist with surprising strength. He pulled her closer, his lips next to her ear. What he whispered made Elena's blood turn to ice. Blackwell Protocol, Morrison rasped. They activated it. They know about Crimson Lance. They know about the files. And Phoenix. He coughed, blood speckling his lips. They know you're alive. They're coming. Not for me. For you. Elena pulled back, staring at him. Commander, that mission was buried. Classified above top secret. Nobody knows. Someone talked. Morrison's grip tightened. Someone on our side, high up. They're cleaning house. Everyone who knows. Everyone who was there. His eyes locked on hers. You need to run. Now, tonight, disappear. Because when they get here... The hospital lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then everything went dark. Emergency lighting kicked in. Dim red glow that turned the trauma bay into something from a nightmare. Sullivan had his weapon out before the lights finished dying. Contact! All units, defensive positions! Outside in the parking lot, Elena heard it, the sound that had haunted her dreams for 3 years. The distinctive whoomp, whoomp, whoomp of helicopter rotors. But this wasn't a medevac bird. This was an attack chopper, and it was landing on the hospital roof. They're here, Morrison whispered. God help us. They're here. The emergency lights painted everything the color of blood. Ina's training kicked in before her conscious mind caught up. She was already moving, already calculating angles and choke points, and how many civilians were in the kill zone. How many? She asked Sullivan. On the bird, 6, maybe 8. Sullivan had his weapon out, a Glock 19 that appeared from somewhere under his jacket. But they don't come alone. Ground teams probably already breaching the lower floors. As if to confirm his words, the fire alarm began shrieking. Not the regular alarm, the emergency override. Someone had pulled it manually, and hospital protocol meant the elevators would lock down automatically, stairwell doors would seal. Smart. Trap everyone inside. "We need to move the commander," Elena said. Her voice had changed. The raspy, apologetic tone was gone. This was the voice that had directed fire teams under mortar attack. "This room's a kill box. Single entrance, windows on 3 sides, no cover." "Ma'am, with respect, we should evacuate you. If they're here for—" "I'm not leaving." Elena grabbed Morrison's gurney. "Help me, or get out of my way." Sullivan hesitated for maybe half a second. Then he nodded to his team. "You heard the lieutenant. Let's move." They were rolling Morrison into the hallway when Blackwood appeared, his face pale as old concrete. "What's happening? What's going on?" "Building's under attack," Sullivan said without breaking stride. "Get to a secure location."
"Attack? This is a hospital. You can't just—" Blackwood grabbed Sullivan's arm. "I'm calling security. I'm calling the police." Sullivan shook him off. "Police are already on their way. Won't matter. These guys will be gone in 20 minutes, one way or another." Elena saw the understanding dawn in Blackwood's eyes. He wasn't stupid, just arrogant. And right now, arrogance was crumbling into pure animal fear. "They're here for her, aren't they?" Blackwood pointed at Elena. "Whatever she did, whoever she pissed off, they came here because of her. Doctor, I need you to calm down and—" "Calm down! There are gunmen in my hospital!" Blackwood's voice cracked. "This is your fault! You brought this here!" Elena stopped pushing the gurney, turned to face him. "You're right. This is because of me. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to take everyone on this floor, patients, nurses, visitors, and you're going to move them to the interior corridors."
"Away from windows, away from doors. You understand?"
"I don't take orders from you."
"You do now." Elena stepped closer, close enough that Blackwood could see the complete absence of fear in her eyes. "Because in about 90 seconds, armed men are going to come through that stairwell door, and when they do, you have 2 choices. You can help save lives, or you can die arguing about who's in charge. Choose." Blackwood's mouth opened, closed. For once in his life, he had nothing to say. The stairwell door exploded inward. Not opened, exploded. Someone had breached it with a small charge, and the steel door flew off its hinges like it weighed nothing. 3 men came through the smoke. Black tactical gear, gas masks, weapons up and ready. Sullivan fired first. The sound in the enclosed hallway was deafening. Elena's ears rang, but her hands didn't shake as she shoved Morrison's gurney toward the nearest patient room. "Get him inside, now!" The attackers returned fire. Bullets chewed up the wall where Elena had been standing a second before. One of Sullivan's team went down, hit in the shoulder, and Sullivan dragged him behind the nurse's station while laying down covering fire. Elena didn't have a weapon. Didn't need one yet. She grabbed a crash cart and shoved it into the hallway, creating an obstacle. Then she hit the oxygen supply valve, and suddenly the air was filled with pure O2. Not enough to explode, but enough to make everyone's movements sluggish, their thinking foggy. One of the attackers stumbled. Elena was there. She grabbed his weapon, twisted it out of his grip with a move she'd learned from a Krav Maga instructor in Tel Aviv, and used the rifle's stock to smash his mask. The man went down hard. "Elena!" James Park was suddenly there, crouching behind an overturned gurney.
"What the hell is happening?"
"Get everyone off this floor. Use the south stairwell. Move!" "I'm not leaving you. James, go, now!" Something in her voice made him obey. He ran, shouting for nurses and patients to follow him. Sullivan had taken out the second attacker, but the third had retreated to the stairwell, using it for cover while he radioed for backup. Elena could hear him speaking, not English, but something Eastern European. Russian, maybe, or Ukrainian. "They're calling in more," Sullivan said, slamming a fresh magazine into his Glock. "We need to fall back, secure a position we can defend." "Trauma 3, Elena said. "Thick walls, limited access points, and it's got Morrison." They moved fast, dragging the unconscious commander with them. 2 more of Sullivan's team had appeared from somewhere, and together they created a defensive perimeter around Trauma 3. Inside the room, Elena checked Morrison's vitals. Still stable. Still breathing. Still unconscious. L.T. Sullivan was at the door, watching the hallway. "We can hold this position for maybe 10 minutes. Then they'll bring heavy weapons or just burn us out. We need extraction." "Call it in." "Already did. Nearest tactical response is FBI hostage rescue. 20 minutes out." 20 minutes. An eternity in combat time. Elena's phone buzzed. She almost ignored it, then saw the caller ID. Unknown number. But the area code was Washington, D.C., she answered. "This is Senator Morrison." The voice was rough, controlled fury barely held in check. "I understand my daughter is at your hospital. I understand she's alive because someone saved her. And I understand that same hospital is now under attack. Want to explain that to me?" Elena glanced at Sullivan. He shrugged. Word traveled fast in certain circles. "Senator, this is Lieutenant Commander Elena Reyes. Your daughter is stable and being moved to a secure location." "The situation is under control." "Reyes." The senator's voice changed. "Phoenix?" Elena's blood went cold. "How do you—" "Because 15 years ago, a combat medic with that call sign pulled my son out of a burning Humvee in Ramadi. Before he died, he told me to find you. To thank you. I've been looking for 15 years. Morrison's voice cracked. "And now you save my daughter, too?" "Senator, I need you to listen carefully. The people attacking this hospital are professionals. They're here for your other patient, Commander Marcus Morrison. Is he—" "My cousin, Navy SEAL. I got the call an hour ago that he'd been shot." The senator paused. "You're telling me this attack is about him?" "He has information. Something called the Blackwell Protocol. He mentioned Crimson Lance. Does that mean anything to you?" The silence on the other end spoke volumes. "Senator?" "Christ," Morrison exhaled slowly. "Blackwell was a Black Ops program. Officially shut down 3 years ago." "Officially? If someone's reactivated it." Gunfire erupted in the hallway. Sullivan returned fire, his face grim. "Senator, I have to go. Get FBI here faster, and send every tactical asset you have." "Already done. Reyes, keep my daughter alive. Please." Elena ended the call, looked at the unconscious Commander Morrison, at Sullivan and his team holding the door, at the walls that seemed to be closing in. This was supposed to be her quiet life, her escape from war. Instead, war had found her. The lights flickered again. This time they didn't come back on. Even the emergency lighting died, leaving them in complete darkness except for the glow of medical monitors. "They cut main power," Sullivan said. "Backup generators should—" Nothing. No generators. No power at all. "They cut those too," Elena said. "They're systematic. Professional." A voice echoed through the darkness. Amplified. Someone using a megaphone or the hospital PA system. "Attention Metropolitan General Hospital. We have no quarrel with civilians. We are here for one person only, Lieutenant Commander Elena Reyes. Send her out and we leave. Refuse and we will be forced to take more aggressive action. You have 5 minutes." In the darkness, Elena heard Morrison groan. He was waking up. "Commander?" She moved to his side. Morrison's eyes opened. Even in the dim glow of the monitors, she could see the clarity there. The pain. The determination. "Phoenix," he whispered. "Didn't run. Never learned how." Morrison grabbed her wrist. "The files. On the ambush. I was carrying proof. Evidence that Blackwell Protocol was restarted. Names, dates, locations. They can't let it go public. Where are the files? Encrypted drive. In my gear bag. The one the paramedics brought with me. Sullivan was already searching. He found the tactical bag, pulled out a small thumb drive wrapped in waterproof plastic. This? Morrison nodded. Passcode is Phoenix 416. Your call sign and your combat saves. 416. The number haunted her. 416 lives pulled back from death. And now, that number was going to save more lives, or get a lot of people killed. The megaphone voice spoke again. 4 minutes! Blackwood's voice came from the hallway, loud and panicked. She's in Trauma 3. Elena Ross, take her and go! Sullivan moved to the door, weapon raised. That let him. Elena's voice was cold. We know what he is now. But Blackwood wasn't done. I'm a doctor. I have patients. You can't do this to us. She brought this here. She's the one you want. Elena heard footsteps, multiple sets, moving toward them. Sullivan, she said quietly, can you get Morrison out? Get him to the FBI when they arrive? Ma'am, I'm not leaving you. That's an order, Master Chief. With respect, ma'am, you retired. Can't give me orders anymore. Despite everything, Elena smiled. Then I'm asking, as the woman who saved your life in Kandahar, get the commander and those files out of here. Make sure the truth gets told. And you? I'll buy you time. Morrison grabbed her arm again. Phoenix, don't. They'll kill you. Maybe. But I've died before. Didn't stick. Elena pulled away from him. Besides, they made a mistake. What mistake? They think I'm trapped in here with them. Elena checked the rifle she'd taken from the first attacker. Full magazine. 30 rounds. They got it backwards. She moved to the door. Sullivan blocked her path. LT, this is suicide. No, this is what I was trained for. Elena met his eyes. How many hostiles you figure are in the building? 12, maybe 15. And how many combat saves did I rack up in 22 years? 416, ma'am. Right, so odds are in my favor. Elena's smile was cold and hard. Now get the commander to safety. That's the mission. Everything else is just noise. Sullivan hesitated. Then he stepped aside. Give them hell, Phoenix. Elena moved into the hallway. The darkness was almost complete now. Just the faint glow of exit signs and the red dots of emergency lighting. But Elena had operated in worse, had performed battlefield surgery in complete blackout conditions, while tracers lit up the night sky. She could hear them coming. 4, maybe 5 men, moving in tactical formation, clearing rooms as they advanced. Elena dropped to one knee, steadied her breathing, and waited. The first man came around the corner. Night vision goggles, she could see the green glow. She aimed for the goggles and fired. The man went down. The others scattered, taking cover. Return fire lit up the hallway, but they were firing blind, not sure exactly where she was. Elena moved, filled behind a drinking fountain, came up in a different position, fired twice more. Another man down. Kto ona? Someone shouted. Russian. Who is she? Неважно, убить ее. Doesn't matter. Kill her. They advanced more carefully now. Professional. Well-trained. But they made a mistake. They thought they were hunting one scared nurse. They were wrong on both counts. Elena led them deeper into the hospital, away from Morrison, away from the civilians James was evacuating. She fired from one position, moved to another before they could return fire effectively, used every trick she'd learned in 2 decades of combat. And slowly, methodically, she started winning. She took out the third man with a shot to the leg, then finished him when he went down. The fourth tried to flank her and walked into a tripwire she'd rigged using IV tubing. He went down hard, his weapon skittering away. That left one. Elena waited, listening. The hospital was eerily quiet now, except for distant sirens. FBI was close. She just needed a few more minutes. The last attacker was smart, didn't rush, didn't expose himself. He was waiting for her to make a mistake. Elena checked her ammunition. 3 rounds left. Not good. She heard a sound behind her, spun around. Blackwood stood there, illuminated by the dim emergency lighting. His hands were raised, but his face was twisted with something beyond fear. Something like rage. "You," he hissed. "This is all your fault. My hospital, my career. You destroyed everything." "Get out of here, Doctor. This isn't—" "No!" Blackwood stepped closer. "You think you're some kind of hero? You're just a broken-down soldier playing pretend. And now people are dying because of you." Elena heard the click behind her. Too late, she realized her mistake. The last attacker had used Blackwood as a distraction. She spun, brought her rifle up. The attacker fired first. The bullet hit Elena high on the left shoulder, spinning her around. She went down hard, the rifle clattering away. Pain exploded through her arm. The old shrapnel wound in her back screamed. But Elena had been shot before, had operated on herself in a cave in the Hindu Kush after taking a ricochet to the thigh. Pain was just information. She rolled, came up with the combat knife she'd taken from the first attacker, and threw it in one smooth motion. The blade caught the gunman in the throat. He made a wet, gurgling sound and collapsed. Elena sat there on the cold floor, her shoulder bleeding, her breath coming in gasps. Blackwood was gone. She'd heard him run the moment the shooting started. Coward to the end. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Running toward her. Elena tried to raise her hands, but her left arm wouldn't respond. "Federal agents, drop your weapon!" "Weapon's already dropped," Elena said, her voice rough. "And you're about 90 seconds too late." FBI hostage rescue team poured into the hallway, flashlights cutting through the darkness. One of them knelt beside Elena. "Ma'am, you're hit. Medic!" "I'm fine. There's a wounded Navy SEAL commander in Trauma 3. He's got encrypted files that need to get to—" "We know, ma'am. Senator Morrison briefed us." The agent helped her sit up. "You Elena Reyes?" "Yeah." "Senator wants to talk to you. Says it's urgent." They got her to her feet. Ina's shoulder was on fire, but she'd had worse. They found Morrison in Trauma 3, surrounded by Sullivan and his team. The commander was conscious now, pale but alive. "Phoenix," Morrison said. "Told you to run." "Told you I never learned how." A man in a suit pushed through the FBI agents. Late 50s, gray hair, the kind of face that had spent time in command. Senator Richard Morrison. He looked at Elena, then at his cousin on the gurney, then back at Elena. "You saved my son in Ramadi," he said quietly. "You saved my daughter tonight. Now you save my cousin and expose a black ops program that would have stayed buried." The senator held out his hand. "I owe you a debt I can never repay." Elena shook his hand. "Just doing my job, Senator." "Your job was nursing." Morrison's smile was sad. "Somehow I don't think that's going to work out anymore." He was right. Ina could see Blackwood being escorted out by FBI agents, already spinning his story, already trying to save his career. The hospital would never take her back. Not after this. Not after the truth came out about who she really was. "Senator," Elena said, "those files, what's in them?" Evidence that Blackwell Protocol was restarted by someone in the Department of Defense. Evidence of war crimes, illegal renditions, assassinations of American citizens. Morrison's face hardened. "Someone very powerful wants this buried," And they'll kill everyone involved to make that happen.
Starting with your cousin.
And you. You're on that list now, Commander Reyes. They know who you are. They know you helped him. And they won't stop until you're dead. Elena felt the weight of those words. She tried to retire, tried to disappear, tried to build a normal life. But normal was gone now, burned away in the space of one night.
Then I guess I better make sure they fail, Elena said.
Morrison studied her. I have a proposition. A task force, off the books, small team. Hunt down whoever restarted Blackwell and shut them down permanently. Interested?
Who else is on this team?
Morrison nodded toward Sullivan and his SEAL operators. Them, plus whatever assets we can trust. And we'd want you leading the medical side, keeping these idiots alive while they play soldier. Elena looked at Morrison on the gurney,
at Sullivan, at the FBI agents securing the scene, at her own blood dripping on the hospital floor. This was her chance to walk away, to find another quiet hospital in another quiet town, to try again. But she knew the truth. War didn't let you walk away. It followed you, found you, dragged you back. Better to fight on her own terms.
I'm in, Elena said.
But I have one condition.
Name it.
When this is over, you make sure every veteran gets the respect they deserve. No more hiding. No more pretending we're broken. No more treating us like we're damaged goods.
Morrison extended his hand again. Deal. They shook. And as they did, Catherine Morrison was wheeled past them, conscious now, her eyes finding Elena's.
You,
Catherine whispered.
You saved me. They said I was dead. You were close,
Elena said gently.
But close doesn't count. Thank you.
Tears streamed down Catherine's face.
Thank you so much.
Elena nodded, turned away before the girl could see the emotion in her own eyes. Behind her, she heard Blackwood's voice, loud and defensive as FBI agents questioned him. Heard him trying to claim credit, trying to spin the narrative, trying to save himself. Some things never changed. But Elena had changed. In one night, she'd gone from invisible nurse to exposed operative. From hiding her past to confronting it head-on, and somehow, standing there in the wreckage of her carefully constructed normal life, she felt more herself than she had in 3 years. Phoenix was back, and God help anyone who got in her way. The hospital administrator's office smelled like fear and expensive cologne. Marcus Sterling sat behind his desk, watching FBI agents box up files, and Elena could see the exact moment he realized his career was over. Commander Reyes, Sterling's voice was tight.
Or should I say, Lieutenant Commander? Seems there's quite a bit about you we didn't know.
You never asked.
No, we just assumed.
Sterling's hands trembled as he signed a document an agent placed in front of him. Dr. Blackwood is being charged with falsifying medical records, claiming credit for procedures he didn't perform, and, he paused, attempted manslaughter. Turns out when he called time of death on Catherine Morrison, he knew she was still alive.
He just didn't want to admit he'd missed the diagnosis. Elena felt something cold settle in her chest. He let her die to protect his ego?
Would have let her die, if you hadn't intervened. Sterling looked up, and for the first time, Elena saw something other than calculation in his eyes. I owe you an apology. We hired you because the government gave us a tax break for employing veterans. I saw you as a diversity checkbox, a way to score political points.
I know.
I'm sorry. Elena said nothing. Sorry didn't erase 3 months of humiliation. Didn't erase Blackwood's hands shoving her against the wall. Didn't erase the laughter echoing in the break room. The board is offering you a settlement, Sterling continued. Wrongful termination, hostile work environment, discrimination. My lawyers say we're looking at a 7-figure payout if this goes to court. We'd like to settle quietly." "How much?" Sterling slid a paper across the desk. Elena glanced at the number. It was more money than she'd made in 5 years as a nurse. "And in exchange?" "You sign an NDA. You don't talk to the press, you don't file a lawsuit. You walk away quietly, and we all move on with our lives." Elena picked up the paper, held it for a long moment. Then she tore it in half. "I don't want your money," she said. "I want you to do better. Every veteran who walks through those doors deserves respect. Every nurse who works here deserves to be safe from people like Blackwood. You fix that, we're square." Sterling stared at her. "You're turning down $1 million? "I've got other priorities." Elena stood. "Is Blackwood still in the building?" "Interrogation room 3. FBI's holding him there until they can arrange transport to federal detention." Elena left without another word. She found the interrogation room on the 2nd floor, 2 FBI agents standing guard outside. "He asked for a lawyer yet?" Elena asked. "3 times, one agent said. But he keeps talking anyway. Can't help himself." Through the one-way glass, Elena could see Blackwood sitting at a metal table. His expensive watch was gone, his perfect hair was disheveled, and his hands, those soft surgeon's hands that had never held a dying Marine's intestines in place while waiting for medevac, were shaking worse than hers ever had. "Can I talk to him?" The agents exchanged glances. "Technically, no. But technically, you just saved a senator's daughter and exposed a black ops conspiracy, so..." The first agent shrugged. "5 minutes. We'll be right outside." Elena entered the room. Blackwood's head snapped up. "You." His voice was raw. "This is your fault. All of it." "Is it?" Elena sat down across from him. "I didn't falsify medical records. I didn't claim credit for saves I didn't make. I didn't leave a girl to die because I was too proud to admit I missed a diagnosis." "She would have died anyway. The damage was too severe." "But she didn't die, because I fixed what you missed." Elena leaned forward. "You want to know the difference between you and me, doctor? It's not the medical training. It's not the years of experience. It's that when faced with a choice between saving a life and saving face, I chose the life. Every single time. 416 times." Blackwood's face twisted. "You think you're better than me? You're just a nurse, a broken-down soldier playing dress-up." "Yeah, I'm a nurse, and you know what? I'm damn good at it. Better than you'll ever be." Elena stood. "Enjoy federal prison, doctor. I hear the medical care there is excellent." She left him sitting there and walked straight into James' park in the hallway. "That was cold," James said. "He earned it." "Yeah, he did." James fell into step beside her. "So, Phoenix, huh? 416 combat saves? Silver Star. You've been reading my file." FBI left it on a desk. I may have glanced at it. James stopped walking. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to be that person anymore. I wanted normal, quiet, simple." "And now?" Elena looked at her bandaged shoulder, at the blood still drying on her scrubs, at the FBI agents and tactical teams that had turned Metropolitan General into a war zone. "Now, normal's off the table." James reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "If you ever decide you want to try again, there's a veterans hospital in Seattle. Small, quiet, run by people who actually give a damn about the people who served." He pressed the card into her hand. "They'd be lucky to have you." "James, I know. You've got a mission now. Some secret task force thing that'll probably get you killed." James's smile was sad. But when it's over, if you survive, Seattle's nice this time of year. Elena looked at the card, at James, at the possibility of a future that didn't involve bullets and black ops conspiracies. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Don't thank me yet. Just promise me you'll come back alive." "I'll try." James nodded once, then walked away. Elena watched him go, feeling something crack in her chest. She'd spent 3 months trying to be invisible, and the one person who'd seen her anyway was now disappearing down a hospital corridor, taking with him the last remnant of the life she'd tried to build. "Commander Reyes?" Elena turned. Sullivan stood there with 2 other SEALs she recognized from earlier. One of them was younger, maybe 25, with a scar across his jaw. The other was older, grizzled, the kind of operator who'd seen too much and refused to quit. "Senator wants to brief us," Sullivan said. "Conference room C. You ready?" "As I'll ever be." The conference room had been converted into a tactical operations center. Maps covered the walls. Laptop computers displayed encrypted communications. And sitting at the head of the table was Senator Morrison, flanked by 2 people Elena didn't recognize. "Commander Reyes," Morrison gestured to a chair. "Sit. We have a lot to cover and not much time." Elena sat. The other 2 people studied her with a kind of intensity that said, "Intelligence community." "This is Deputy Director Sarah Chen, FBI." Morrison indicated the woman on his left, late 40s, Asian American, eyes that missed nothing. "And this is Marcus Webb, CIA Operations. They're read in on Blackwell Protocol, and they're here to help." "Help how?" Elena asked. Chen spoke first. "The encrypted files Commander Morrison was carrying contained names, 17 high-ranking officials in DoD, CIA, and private military contractors. They've been running Blackwell Protocol for 3 years, conducting illegal operations on foreign soil and on American citizens. Including the hit on Commander Morrison's convoy," Webb added. "And the attack on this hospital." "So we arrest them," Elena said. "Can't." Chen's expression was grim. "Half of them have congressional immunity. The other half have enough dirt on enough people to bring down the entire government if we move against them. We need more evidence. We need to catch them in the act." "Which is where you come in," Morrison said. "These people know Commander Morrison survived. They know he has the files. But they think he's the only threat. They don't know about you yet." "They will soon," Elena said. "My identity's been exposed. Every news outlet in the country is running stories about the nurse who turned out to be a decorated combat medic." "Exactly." Webb leaned forward, "which makes you perfect bait." Elena felt the room shift. "Bait." "They'll come after you to eliminate a witness, and when they do, we'll be ready. We'll catch them, get them on tape, gather enough evidence to bring them all down." Webb's smile was cold. "You're the key, Commander. The one thing they can't ignore." "You want me to paint a target on my back and wait for them to shoot?" "We'll have protection, full surveillance, a team ready to respond the moment." "No." Elena stood. "I'm not bait. I'm not sitting around waiting to be killed so you can build a case." "Commander, please." Morrison's voice was gentle. "I understand your reluctance, but these people have killed dozens, maybe hundreds, and they'll keep killing unless we stop them." "Then let me stop them. Put a team together. Hunt them down. End this." Chen shook her head. "We don't have actionable intelligence on their locations. We don't know where they operate from. Using you as bait is the only way to—" The door burst open. A young FBI agent rushed in, his face pale. "Sir, we have a problem. The prisoners we took from the hospital? Attack. All 12 of them. They're dead." Sullivan was on his feet. "What?" "Simultaneous cardiac arrests. Medical examiner thinks it was poison." "Time delayed.
probably administered before the attack in case they were captured.
Cyanide capsules?
Webb asked. No, sir. Something more sophisticated. Nanobots, maybe. Some kind of targeted cellular destruction. ME says he's never seen anything like it. Elena felt ice water in her veins.
They killed their own people to protect the secret.
Which means they know we have the files, Morrison said quietly. And they know we're coming for them. The room fell silent. Then Elena's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Again. She answered without thinking. Commander Reyes? The voice was digitally distorted, impossible to identify. You've been a very busy woman tonight. Elena's hand tightened on the phone. Who is this? Someone who's impressed by your work. 416 saves. Remarkable. But did you ever count the deaths? The people you couldn't save? What do you want? To give you a choice. Walk away, right now. Disappear. We'll consider you a non-combatant and leave you alone. Or continue this crusade with Senator Morrison and his pet FBI agents, and we'll kill everyone you care about, starting with James Park. Elena's blood froze. If you touch him, he's leaving the hospital right now, walking to his car. Silver Honda Civic, license plate 47 Delta 231. He has no idea there's a bomb under his seat. Remote detonated. I can trigger it from here with a single button press. Sullivan was already moving, grabbing his radio, calling for bomb disposal. You have 30 seconds to decide, the voice said. Walk away and he lives. Continue, and you'll watch him die on the security cameras. Tick-tock, Commander. Elena's mind raced. James was innocent, a good man, someone who'd shown her kindness when no one else had, and now he was going to die because of her. 20 seconds. Wait. Elena's voice was steady, despite the panic clawing at her throat. I'll walk away. Just don't hurt him. Smart choice. Now step away from the senator. Leave the building. We'll be watching. If you stay, if you help them, James Park dies. And then we move on to Catherine Morrison. And then we start working through the list of every patient you saved tonight. Every nurse, every civilian. We'll kill them all, one by one, until you understand that your war is over. I understand. Good. Then walk away, Commander, and never look back. The line went dead. Ina lowered the phone. Everyone in the room was staring at her. They have a bomb on James's car, she said quietly. Remote detonated. If I stay, if I help you, they'll kill him. And everyone else. Morrison's face was grim. Bomb disposal is en route. They'll trigger it the moment they see the disposal team. You know they will. Elena looked at Sullivan. How long until your people can sweep the vehicle? 3 minutes, maybe less. James could be in his car in 2. Chen stood. We can evacuate the parking lot, clear everyone out. If they detonate, they will, and then they'll move on to the next target, and the next. They're sending a message. Anyone who helps me dies. Elena met Morrison's eyes. You asked me to join your task force, to help hunt these people down. But I can't do that if every civilian around me becomes a target. So what are you saying? Morrison asked. Elena was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked at Webb. You said you wanted to use me as bait, that the only way to catch these people is to draw them out. Yes, but so let's draw them out. For real. No protection, no surveillance team. Just me, alone, visible, vulnerable. When they come for me, I'll be ready, and I'll get you the evidence you need. That's suicide, Sullivan said flatly. No, it's warfare. Elena's voice was cold. They think I'm scared. They think threatening innocent people will make me run. They're wrong.
I'm not running. I'm going hunting. And when I find them, I'm going to end this my way. Morrison studied her. You're talking about going dark. Off the grid. No backup. No support. I'm talking about doing what I was trained to do. What I did for 22 years. Elena stood. Give me the files. Give me the list of names. And give me 48 hours. If I'm not back by then, assume I'm dead and proceed without me. Commander, this is... Elena's phone buzzed again. Security camera feed. James Park, walking through the parking lot, keys in hand, heading toward his silver Civic. Decide now, Elena said. You want to save lives? You want to stop these people? Then let me do what I do best. Morrison looked at Chen, at Webb, at Sullivan, then back at Elena. Do it, he said quietly. Give her everything she needs. Sullivan moved immediately, grabbing a laptop, copying files to a secure drive. Webb pulled out a phone, punched in numbers, handed it to Elena. Encrypted, Webb said. Untraceable. You need extraction. You call that number. But Commander, the moment you go dark, you're on your own. We can't help you, can't protect you, can't even acknowledge you exist. Good. Elena took the phone and the drive. Because if they're watching you, they'll never see me coming. She turned to leave. Sullivan grabbed her arm. Ma'am, you're injured. You've been shot. You need medical attention. I've had worse. At least take a weapon, body armor, something. Elena looked down at his hand on her arm. He released her. I don't need gear, Sullivan. I am the weapon. She walked out of the conference room, down the corridor toward the emergency exit. Behind her, she heard Morrison's voice on the radio, calling off the bomb disposal team, evacuating the parking lot through a different route. James would live. For now. But only if Elena kept moving. She pushed through the exit door into the cold Chicago night. The city sprawled before her, millions of people going about their lives, completely unaware that somewhere in the darkness, a shadow war was being fought. Elena had spent 3 years trying to retire, trying to be normal, trying to convince herself that she could leave the war behind. But the truth was simpler and harder than that. The war had never left her. It had just been waiting. And now, Phoenix was done hiding. She pulled out the encrypted phone and dialed a number from memory, a number she'd sworn she'd never call again. It rang twice. Ghost protocol. The voice on the other end was familiar, dangerous. Access code. Phoenix, 416, Omega. Silence. Then, Jesus Christ. Reyes? We thought you were dead. I was retired. Same thing. But I'm back, and I need your help. What kind of help? The kind that doesn't officially exist. The kind that ends with bodies and burned buildings, and no questions asked. Another pause. You're talking about a black bag operation. I'm talking about war. Elena looked up at the hospital behind her, at the windows where patients were sleeping, nurses were working, lives were being saved. They threatened civilians. They targeted innocents. They crossed a line. And you want to cross it right back. I want to erase the line completely. The voice on the other end laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Welcome back to the darkness, Phoenix. I'll send you coordinates. Come alone, come armed, and come ready to do things that'll keep you awake at night for the rest of your life. I'm already awake, Elena said. Have been for 3 years. She ended the call and started walking, away from the hospital, away from the FBI and the senator, and the promise of justice through proper channels. Justice was for people who played by rules. Elena was done playing. Somewhere in the city, the people who'd restarted Blackwell Protocol were congratulating themselves, thinking they'd scared her off, thinking she'd disappear. They were about to learn the difference between a nurse and a warrior, and the lesson was going to be written in blood. The coordinates led Elena to an abandoned meatpacking plant on the south side, the kind of place where screams wouldn't carry and bloodstains blended with decades of rust and decay. She walked through the loading dock doors at exactly midnight, her shoulder throbbing where the bullet had grazed her, her hands steady despite the pain. A single light bulb hung from the ceiling, casting shadows that moved wrong. Phoenix. The voice came from everywhere and nowhere. You're late. Traffic was hell. Elena stopped in the center of the room, turning slowly. Show yourself, Wraith. A figure stepped from the shadows, tall, lean, wearing tactical gear that had seen recent use. The face was covered by a balaclava, but Elena recognized the eyes. Gray-blue, like winter ice. She'd seen those eyes across a dozen war zones, always in the aftermath, always when the official story didn't match the bodies. Didn't think I'd see you again, Wraith said. His real name was classified so deep, even the CIA director didn't know it. Heard you retired. Went soft. Heard you died in Somalia. Guess we both lied. Wraith pulled off the balaclava. His face was scarred, burned on the left side from something that had happened after Elena's retirement. But his smile was the same, sharp as broken glass. You said you needed help with a black bag operation. Want to elaborate? Elena pulled out the encrypted drive Sullivan had given her. Blackwell Protocol. Restarted 3 years ago. 17 names, all high level. DoD, CIA, private contractors. They're running illegal ops on American soil, and they just tried to kill everyone I care about to keep it quiet. Wraith took the drive, plugged it into a ruggedized laptop that appeared from his pack. His eyes scanned the data. Christ, he whispered. Half these names are supposed to be on our side. Were on our side. Now they're just targets. And you want to go after all 17? I want to go after the head. Kill the snake, the body dies. Elena moved closer. You still have access to Ghost Protocol databases? Off-book surveillance? The stuff that doesn't officially exist? Wraith's fingers moved across the keyboard. Depends. What are you planning? To make them come to me, but on my terms, my ground. Elena's voice was ice. They threatened civilians. They put a bomb under a nurse's car. They crossed every line we were trained to protect. So I'm going to show them what happens when you threaten innocence in front of a pararescue operator. Phoenix. Wraith looked up from the screen. You're talking about becoming what we spent 20 years fighting. You're talking about terrorism. I'm talking about warfare, targeted, precise, against people who deserve it. Who decides who deserves it? I do. Elena met his eyes. You in or out? Wraith stared at her for a long moment. Then he turned back to the laptop. First name on the list, General Robert Ashford, former JSOC commander, now running Crimson Lance, the private military company doing Blackwell's dirty work. He's in Chicago, tonight, meeting with city officials about a security contract. Where? Drake Hotel, presidential suite, 3 bodyguards, all former special forces. Building security is tight, but not military grade. Wraith pulled up building schematics. You'd need to go in through the service entrance, past the kitchen staff, up the back stairs to the 14th floor. Ashford's paranoid. He's got his own security sweeps, his own counter-surveillance. You won't get close without him knowing. I don't need to get close. I just need to get a message to him. What message? Elena picked up a marker and drew an X over Ashford's photo on the screen. That Phoenix is hunting. and he's next. Wraith laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. You're going to start a war. War's already started. They just didn't realize it yet. Elena left the meatpacking plant with a burner phone, a Sig Sauer P226 with 3 magazines, and coordinates to a safe house where Wraith had stashed equipment. She also left with something more valuable: access codes to Crimson Lance's internal communications network. The safe house was a studio apartment above a Korean restaurant in Chinatown. Elena climbed the back stairs, her shoulders screaming with each step, and found exactly what Wraith had promised: weapons, medical supplies, laptops with encrypted connections. She stripped off her bloody scrubs and examined the gunshot wound properly for the first time. Through and through, high on the shoulder. She'd been lucky. Another inch to the right, and it would have shattered her collarbone. As it was, she just needed to clean it, pack it, and ignore the pain. Elena had performed field surgery on herself before. This wasn't even in the top 10 worst injuries she'd treated without anesthesia. 30 minutes later, she was bandaged, dressed in tactical black, and monitoring Crimson Lance communications on 3 different screens. Most of it was routine: supply orders, personnel transfers, contract negotiations. But then she saw it. A message flagged Priority 1, sent from an unknown sender to General Ashford directly. Phoenix confirmed alive and active. Hospital assault failed. Recommend immediate termination of all witnesses and activation of Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega. Ina didn't recognize the designation, but the tone made her blood run cold. She pulled up the attached file. It was a kill list. James Park, Catherine Morrison, Senator Morrison, Dr. Chen, Marcus Webb, Sullivan and his entire SEAL team. 37 names total. Everyone who'd been at the hospital, everyone who knew Elena's real identity, everyone who could testify about Blackwell Protocol. And at the top of the list, highlighted in red, Elena Reyes. Status: highest priority. Terminate with extreme prejudice. Elena's hands clenched into fists. They weren't just coming after her. They were going to massacre everyone who'd helped her, everyone who'd seen her face, everyone who could connect her to the conspiracy. Her phone buzzed, the encrypted one Webb had given her. She answered. "Commander Reyes." It was Senator Morrison, and he sounded scared. "Where are you?" "Somewhere safe. What's wrong?" "Catherine's hospital room. Someone tried to breach it 10 minutes ago. Armed, professional. Secret Service stopped him, but..." Morrison's voice cracked. "They're coming after my daughter. After the FBI agents. After everyone. And we can't protect them all." Elena closed her eyes. Protocol Omega wasn't a threat. It was already in motion. "Senator, listen to me carefully. Evacuate Catherine. Get her to a secure military facility. Do the same for everyone on the FBI team. Pull them all into protective custody right now." "We're trying, but we don't have facilities for..." "Then make facilities. Use military bases. Use black sites. I don't care. Just get them somewhere these people can't reach." "What about you?" "I'm going to give them a bigger target to focus on." Elena looked at the screens showing Ashford's location, his schedule, his security detail. "I'm going to make them forget about everyone else, because they'll be too busy trying to kill me." "That's suicide." "No, Senator. That's war. And I'm done playing defense." She ended the call and pulled up the building schematics for the Drake Hotel. Wraith was right. Getting to Ashford quietly would be nearly impossible. The security was too tight, too professional. But Elena wasn't planning on being quiet. She was planning on sending a message so loud that every name on that Blackwell Protocol list would hear it. 2 hours later, Elena stood across the street from the Drake Hotel, watching limousines pull up to the entrance. Mainty people in expensive clothes heading to some charity gala in the ballroom. The kind of people who had no idea what was happening in the penthouse suites above them. Elena checked her watch. Ashford's meeting was scheduled to end in 30 minutes. He'd leave through the service entrance, get into his armored SUV, and disappear into the night. Unless someone stopped him. Elena crossed the street and walked straight through the front entrance. The doorman barely glanced at her. She was dressed like hotel staff, carrying a box that said catering, blending perfectly with the dozens of service workers moving through the lobby. She took the service elevator to the 14th floor. 2 bodyguards stood outside Ashford's suite, both wearing earpieces, both scanning the hallway with the kind of attention that said Special Forces training. Elena walked past them toward the supply closet at the end of the hall. They watched her but didn't stop her. Just another worker. Just another invisible servant. She unlocked the closet with a key Wraith had provided, stepped inside, and pulled out the tablet computer she'd hidden in the catering box. Crimson Lance's internal network appeared on the screen. Elena had full access now, thanks to Wraith's hacking, and she used it to pull up the suite's security camera feeds. Ashford sat at a table with 3 other men. Ina recognized 2 of them from the encrypted files, both high-ranking officials in the Department of Defense. The third she didn't know, but his body language said power. They were discussing something on a laptop. Elena couldn't hear through the camera feeds, but she could read Ashford's lips well enough. Terminate all witnesses by morning. Phoenix is the priority, but we can't leave loose ends. One of the DoD officials nodded. What about Senator Morrison? He has congressional immunity. Accidents happen. Ashford's smile was cold. Car crashes, heart attacks, tragic suicides. The important thing is that no one survives to testify. Elena had heard enough. She pulled out her phone and sent a single text message to a number Wraith had given her. 3 words. Light it up. 5 seconds later, every fire alarm in the Drake Hotel started screaming. The sprinkler system activated. Water poured from the ceilings. Guests in the lobby started screaming, running for the exits. The charity gala dissolved into chaos. And in the penthouse suite, Ashford and his associates jumped to their feet. What the hell? One of the DoD officials shouted. Ashford was already moving. False alarm or attack. We evacuate. Now! The bodyguards burst into the room, weapons drawn. Sir, we need to move you to... The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, but it was dim, red, barely enough to see. Ina stepped out of the supply closet. The first bodyguard never saw her coming. She hit him from behind with a taser Wraith had provided, 50,000 volts dropping him like a stone. The second one spun, reaching for his weapon, but Elena was faster. She grabbed his wrist, twisted, and used his own momentum to slam him face first into the wall. Both guards were down in under 5 seconds. Elena kicked open the suite door. Ashford stood there, frozen, his hand halfway to the weapon under his jacket. The 3 other men scattered, running for different exits. Elena let them go. They weren't her target tonight. General Ashford. Elena's voice was calm, cold. We need to talk. Ashford's hand moved toward his weapon. Elena had her cig out faster. Don't, she said quietly. I didn't come here to kill you. I came here to deliver a message. Phoenix. Ashford's voice was steady despite the gun pointed at his chest. I wondered when you'd show yourself. Protocol Omega. The kill list. 37 names. You're going to cancel it. Or what? You'll shoot me? I'm already a dead man if Blackwell Protocol gets exposed. You think a bullet scares me? No, but this should. Elena pulled out her phone and showed him the screen. I'm broadcasting this conversation live to Senator Morrison, Deputy Director Chen, and Marcus Webb at CIA.
Everything you say is being recorded. Everything you admit is evidence. Ashford's face went white. You just confirmed Blackwell Protocol exists, Elena continued. You just confirmed Protocol Omega. You just gave them everything they need to bring down everyone on that list of 17 names. You're bluffing. Elena's phone buzzed. A text from Senator Morrison appeared on the screen where Ashford could see it. Recording confirmed. Evidence secured. Arrest warrants being prepared now. Ashford lunged for her phone. Elena sidestepped, let him stumble past, and kicked his legs out from under him. He went down hard. Cancel Protocol Omega, Elena said, pressing the gun to the back of his head. Right now, or I'll make sure every news outlet in the country gets a copy of this recording, along with your confession. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Ashford's voice was muffled against the carpet. Blackwell Protocol isn't just 17 names. It's hundreds, thousands. People in every level of government, every branch of military, every intelligence agency. You can't stop it. No one can. Elena felt ice water replace her blood. You're lying. Am I? You think this started 3 years ago? It's been running for 20 years. Since before you enlisted. Since before pararescue even existed. Ashford laughed, a broken sound. You're not fighting a conspiracy, Phoenix. You're fighting the system itself. Elena's gun hand wavered. 20 years. That meant every operation she'd been on, every mission, every save, it had all been under Blackwell's shadow. Who's running it? She demanded. Who's at the top? I don't know. No one knows. That's the point. It's compartmentalized. Each level only knows the level below. I take orders from someone. They take orders from someone else. It goes all the way up to... The window exploded inward. Elena dove, rolling, coming up with her weapon raised. But the shooter wasn't aiming at her. Ashford's head snapped back, blood spraying the carpet. He was dead before he hit the ground. Elena spun toward the window. A helicopter hovered outside, black and unmarked, a sniper visible in the open door. The sniper's rifle swung toward Elena. She fired first, putting 3 rounds through the helicopter's windshield. The pilot jerked, and the bird lurched sideways, disappearing from view. Elena ran, out of the suite, past the unconscious bodyguards, toward the service stairs. Behind her, she heard shouting, footsteps, more men coming. She hit the stairwell at a dead run, taking the steps 3 at a time, her shoulder screaming in protest. 14 floors. She had to make it to ground level before they locked down the building. On the 8th floor, the door burst open. 2 more men in tactical gear. Elena didn't slow down. She fired twice, kept moving, left them behind. 5th floor. 4th. 3rd. Her phone rang. The encrypted one. She answered without stop. What? Elena, it's Webb. Ashford's dead. We saw it on the feed. You need to get out of there, now. They're sending a full tactical team. Already running. There's more. We analyzed Ashford's last words, about Blackwell running for 20 years. We pulled classified files and... Webb's voice was shaken. He was telling the truth. Blackwell Protocol has been operational since 2004. It's embedded in every major military and intelligence operation for 2 decades. Elena hit the ground floor, burst through the emergency exit into an alley. Police sirens were converging on the hotel from every direction. Which means everyone I worked with, everyone I trusted. Some of them were Blackwell, yes. Webb paused. Elena, we need you to come in. This is bigger than we thought. We need to coordinate, need to... Elena ended the call. She ran through the alley, into the Chicago night, her mind racing faster than her feet. 20 years. Hundreds of operatives. Thousands of operations.
and somewhere at the top, someone pulling strings she couldn't see. Ashford had called it the system itself, and you couldn't fight the system. You could only... Her phone buzzed again. Different number. The burner Wraith had given her. She answered. "Phoenix?" It was Wraith's voice, but strained. Wrong. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The kind where I'm sitting in a black site interrogation room with a gun to my head because someone just told my handlers that I've been helping a rogue operative commit acts of terrorism on American soil." Elena stopped running. "Who told them?" "Someone with access to Ghost Protocol communications. Someone who knew you'd contact me. Someone who's been inside this whole time." Wraith's breathing was ragged. "Phoenix, you've got a traitor. Someone close. Someone you trust. And they're feeding Blackwell everything you do." "Who?" "I don't know. But you need to figure it out fast, because they just ordered my execution. And I'm guessing you're next on." The line went dead. Elena stood in the middle of a Chicago street, rain starting to fall, surrounded by sirens and chaos, and the growing realization that she was completely alone. Someone she trusted was a traitor. Someone in Senator Morrison's inner circle. Someone who'd been at the hospital. Someone who had access to everything. And that someone had just gotten Wraith killed. Elena's phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. She answered, already knowing what she'd hear. "Hello again, Commander." The digitally distorted voice from before, the one that had threatened James. "Enjoying your evening?" "Who are you?" "Someone who's been watching you for a very long time. Since Kandahar, actually. Since you saved a certain Master Chief's life and became a legend." The voice paused. "Did you really think we didn't know about you? About Phoenix? We've been tracking you since you retired. Waiting. Watching. And when Commander Morrison survived that ambush with his precious encrypted files, we knew you'd surface. Because heroes like you can't help yourselves. What do you want?" "To offer you a job. Blackwell Protocol needs operators like you. Skilled, ruthless, willing to do what's necessary. Join us, and we'll make all of this go away. The kill list, the threats, everything. You can have your quiet life back." "And if I refuse?" "Then tomorrow morning, James Park dies. Catherine Morrison dies. Senator Morrison dies. And everyone you've ever cared about dies. One by one, in front of you. Until you understand that you're not the hero in this story, Commander. You're just another asset. And assets either serve or they're eliminated." The line went dead. Elena stood in the rain, water soaking through her clothes, washing the blood from her shoulder, and made a choice. She wasn't going to run. Wasn't going to hide. Wasn't going to let them turn her into a weapon pointed at innocence. She was going to find the traitor in Morrison's circle. She was going to expose every name on that list of 17. And she was going to burn Blackwell Protocol to the ground, even if she had to go through the entire system to do it. But first, she needed to get back to the hospital, because whoever the traitor was, they'd made a mistake. They'd revealed themselves by knowing things only someone in that conference room could know. Only someone who'd been there when Morrison briefed them. Only someone who'd watched Elena make her decision to go dark. The list of possibilities was short, and Elena was about to make it shorter. The hospital was different at 3 in the morning, quieter, darker, the kind of darkness where secrets lived and died. Elena entered through the morgue entrance, a route she'd learned during her first week when she'd been assigned to transport deceased patients. No cameras here, no security guards. Just the cold and the silence and the smell of disinfectant trying to mask decay. She moved through the basement corridors, past storage rooms and mechanical spaces, toward the service elevator that would take her to the administrative wing where Morrison had set up his command center. Her phone buzzed. Sullivan. "Where are you?" His voice was tight with tension. "In the building. Where's Morrison?" "Conference room C, same place as before. He's got Chen and Webb with him, going over the files from Ashford's suite." "Elena, we've got a problem."
James Park never made it home. His car's in the parking lot, but he's gone. Elena's blood froze.
"They took him."
Looks that way. There's blood on the driver's seat. Not much, but enough to suggest a struggle. Sullivan paused. "They're using him as bait, trying to draw you out."
"It's working. I'm coming up."
"Elena, wait. Something's wrong here. The FBI agents Morrison brought in for protection, half of them disappeared an hour ago. Just left their posts. No explanation. And the ones who stayed, they're acting wrong. Checking their phones too much, watching the doors like they're waiting for something." Elena stopped walking.
"You think some of them are Blackwell?"
"I think we don't know who to trust anymore."
"Then trust no one. I'll be there in 2 minutes. Keep Morrison alive until I arrive."
Elena took the service elevator to the 3rd floor, her cig held low and ready. The doors opened onto an empty hallway. Too empty. Where were the FBI agents? Where was the protective detail? She heard voices ahead. Morrison's conference room. The door was open a crack. Elena moved silently, years of training making her steps soundless even on the tile floor. She reached the door and looked through the gap. Morrison sat at the table, his face haggard. Chen was there, typing furiously on a laptop. Webb stood by the window, talking on his phone in a low voice, and Sullivan stood by the door, weapon drawn, watching everyone. "Senator, we need to make a decision," Chen was saying. "The files we recovered from Ashford's suite give us enough to start arrests, but if we move now, before we have the full picture, the rest of Blackwell will scatter." "And if we wait," Morrison shot back, "they'll kill everyone on that list, starting with my daughter and James Park. I'm not sacrificing innocent lives for a perfect case." Webb ended his call. "CIA agrees with the senator. We move in 6 hours. Coordinated raids on all 17 targets simultaneously. We arrest them all at once before they can communicate." "That's assuming none of them are tipped off," Sullivan said. "And given what happened to Wraith, I'd say we have a leak." "Wraith was sloppy," Webb said dismissively. "He used compromised channels. That's on him." Elena felt something click in her mind. Webb's tone, the way he'd said it. Too casual, too quick to blame. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. 4 guns immediately pointed at her. "Stand down," Sullivan said. "It's Phoenix." The guns lowered. Morrison stood. "Commander Reyes, thank God. We were worried they'd gotten to you too." "They tried." Elena's eyes moved from person to person, reading body language, looking for tells. "Where's James?" "We don't know," Chen said, "but we're working on it. Elena, we need those files you took from the safe house, the ones with Blackwell's full organizational structure. If we're going to, I don't have them." Everyone froze. "What?" Morrison's voice was sharp. "You said you had everything. You said you could expose them all." "I lied." Elena's gun was still in her hand, held casually, pointed at no one and everyone. "Because I needed to see who'd panic when I said it. Who'd try to get those files before I could use them." Webb's hand moved toward his weapon. "Commander, what are you—" "Don't." Elena's cig came up, aimed at Webb's chest. "Move that hand 1 more inch and I'll put a round through your heart." "Elena!" Morrison stepped forward. "Marcus has been helping us. He's CIA. He's on our side." "Is he?" Elena's voice was cold. "Tell me, Marcus, how did Blackwell know Wraith was helping me? How did they know to target him specifically? Only 4 people knew I'd contacted Wraith. Me, Wraith, Senator Morrison, and you." Webb's face went pale.
That's circumstantial.
Could have been surveillance. Could have been a lot of things. But then I remembered something. Elena took a step closer. When Ashford was dying, he said Blackwell goes all the way to the top. 20 years of operations, embedded in every agency. And you, Marcus, have been CIA for exactly 20 years. You were part of the original task force that supposedly shut down Blackwell Protocol the first time. Which means I know how they operate, Webb said. Which is why Morrison brought me in. Or it means you're the one who never shut it down in the first place. Elena's finger moved to the trigger. Last chance, Marcus. Where's James Park? Webb's hand shot toward his weapon. Elena fired. The bullet hit Webb's shoulder, spinning him around. He crashed into the window, blood spraying the glass. Sullivan had his weapon out instantly, covering Webb. Chen scrambled away from the table. Morrison stood frozen. Elena, what the hell are you doing? Morrison's voice shook. Proving a point. Elena kicked Webb's gun away from his fallen body. Check his phone, the encrypted one in his left pocket. I'm betting you'll find communications with Crimson Lance. Orders to eliminate witnesses. Instructions on how to feed Blackwell information about our movements. Chen grabbed the phone, unlocked it with Webb's fingerprint while he groaned in pain. Her face went white as she scrolled through messages. Oh my God. He's been reporting everything. Our meeting locations, Elena's safe house coordinates, the surveillance routes we set up. Everything. Morrison grabbed the phone from her, read the messages. His face transformed from shock to fury. You son of a bitch. My daughter. You put my daughter at risk. You... Webb coughed blood. You don't understand. Blackwell isn't the enemy. Blackwell is the only thing keeping this country safe. We do the operations, no one else will. We make the hard choices. You kill American citizens. Elena cut him off. You run illegal ops on domestic soil. You murdered Wraith to cover your tracks. Wraith was a liability. You're a liability. This whole amateur crusade is a liability. Webb's eyes were cold despite the pain. You can shoot me, Phoenix. You can expose me. But it won't matter. Blackwell has contingencies. They always have contingencies. Like James Park? Elena pressed the gun to Webb's head. Where is he? Dead by now, probably. Or close to it. They took him to send a message. To show you that... Elena's phone buzzed. Video message. Unknown sender. She opened it, already knowing what she'd see. James Park, tied to a chair in what looked like a warehouse. His face was bloody, one eye swollen shut. And standing behind him, weapon to his head, was someone Elena recognized. Dr. Amanda Chen, the cardiothoracic surgeon from the hospital. Hello, Phoenix. Chen's voice came through the phone speaker. Or should I call you Elena? I'm afraid Dr. Park has been a very uncooperative guest. He refuses to tell us where you're hiding, refuses to give up Senator Morrison's location. Very noble, very stupid. The Chen in the conference room, the FBI deputy director, stood frozen, staring at the phone. That's not possible, she whispered. That's my face. That's... Your twin sister, Elena said quietly. The one you told me died in a car accident 15 years ago. Except she didn't die, did she? She just went deep cover, became a surgeon, got placed at Metropolitan General to monitor me when I was hired there. The FBI Chen's face crumbled. Amanda. Oh, God. Amanda, what did you do? On the phone, Surgeon Chen smiled. I did what was necessary, sister. What you were always too weak to do. And now, I'm going to kill Dr. Park, unless Phoenix surrenders in the next 10 minutes. Coordinates attached. Come alone, or he dies screaming. The video ended. FBI Chen was crying now,
her hands shaking. "I didn't know. I swear I didn't know she was alive. She was supposed to be dead. She—" "Saved your life," Elena said. The pieces were clicking together. 15 years ago, you were in that car accident together. She pushed you out before the crash. You survived. She was supposed to die. Instead, she was recruited by Blackwell."
They faked her death and turned her into an asset.
"How do you know that?" "Because it's what they do. They find people with skills, with connections, with reasons to disappear, and they turn them into ghosts." Elena looked at Morrison. "Your task force, your trusted team. It was compromised from the start. Webb feeding them information. Surgeon Chen watching me at the hospital. Who knows how many others?" "This is insane," Morrison said. "How deep does this go?" "Deep enough that they knew I'd come back here. Deep enough that they planned for it." Elena checked the coordinates Surgeon Chen had sent. "This is a trap. They're using James to draw me out, and when I arrive, they'll kill us both." "Then don't go," Sullivan said. "We call in tactical. We breach the warehouse. We save Park without risking you." Elena looked at the coordinates again, looked at the timestamp on the video, looked at FBI Chen, broken and crying, realizing her sister was a monster. "There's no time for tactical. They'll kill him the moment they detect an assault. This has to be me, alone." "Elena, you can't." "Senator, with respect, I can, and I will." Elena turned to Sullivan. "I need you to do something for me. In my jacket pocket, there's a USB drive, encrypted. Password is Phoenix 416. On that drive is everything. Every name, every operation. 20 years of Blackwell protocol, documented and cross-referenced. Wraith put it together before they killed him." Sullivan pulled the drive from her jacket. "You had this the whole time?" "Insurance policy. If I don't make it back, you give that to every news outlet in the country. You make sure the world knows what Blackwell did, what all of them did." "And if you do make it back?" Elena's smile was cold. "Then I'll deliver it personally. But either way, Blackwell ends tonight." She walked toward the door. Morrison caught her arm. "Commander, my daughter, is she safe?" "Secret Service moved her to Andrews Air Force Base an hour ago. I had Sullivan arrange it while we were talking. She's protected by people I trust, people who aren't compromised." "How can you be sure?" "Because I didn't tell anyone in this room where she was going. Not even Sullivan knows the exact location." Elena met his eyes. "Trust is earned, Senator. And tonight, everyone failed that test except the people doing the dying." She left before he could respond. The warehouse was exactly where Surgeon Chen said it would be. Industrial district. Abandoned. Perfect kill zone. Elena approached from the north, using shadows and debris for cover. She could see movement inside through the broken windows. At least 6 hostiles, maybe more. Her phone buzzed. Surgeon Chen. "Punctual. I appreciate that." "Now walk through the front door, hands visible, weapon on the ground." "Let me talk to James first. Proof of life." A pause. Then James's voice, weak but alive. "Elena, don't. It's a trap. They're going to—" The sound of impact. James crying out in pain. "Walk inside, Phoenix, or the next sound you hear will be his skull cracking open." Elena placed her cig on the ground, raised her hands, walked through the front door. The warehouse was cavernous, lit by harsh work lights that left deep shadows. James was tied to a chair in the center, blood running down his face. And surrounding him were 8 men in tactical gear, weapons trained on Elena. Surgeon Chen stepped from the shadows. She looked exactly like her FBI twin, same face, same build. But her eyes were different, colder, dead. "Phoenix," Finally, I've waited months for this. You're the one who convinced Sterling to hire me, Elena said.
You pushed for it, sold him on the veteran hiring program.
Of course. We needed you close, needed to monitor you. After you retired, we lost track. Couldn't have that. Not when you knew so much about operations from your pararescue days. So you had me hired at the hospital where you worked, where you could watch me, make sure I stayed quiet. And when Commander Morrison survived that ambush with his files, we knew you'd surface, knew you'd try to help. Chen smiled. You're predictable, Phoenix. Always the hero, always trying to save people. It's your weakness. And killing innocent people is yours. You murdered Wraith, threatened James, tried to kill a senator's daughter. Casualties of war. Necessary sacrifices for the greater good. Greater good? Elena's laugh was bitter. You're running illegal operations, killing American citizens. There's nothing good about what you do. We keep this country safe. We do what politicians are too weak to authorize. We make the hard choices. Chen moved closer. And we would have kept doing it if you hadn't interfered. But now? Now you're going to disappear. Just another veteran who couldn't handle civilian life. Just another suicide. Tragic. Forgettable. You think I came here alone? I know you did. Because that's who you are. The lone hero, the martyr. The woman who'd rather die than let an innocent suffer. Chen raised her weapon. Elena didn't move, didn't flinch. You're right, Elena said quietly. I would rather die. But I didn't come here to die, Amanda. I came here to make a choice. What choice? Whether to save James or save the evidence that destroys Blackwell. Chen's smile faltered. What evidence? The USB drive I gave Sullivan. Except I lied about what was on it. It wasn't everything. It was just enough to make you think I still had the real files, the ones I actually hid. The ones that are about to go public unless I enter a password in the next 60 seconds. Chen's weapon lowered slightly. You're bluffing. Am I? Your brother Webb is in FBI custody right now. They're searching his phone, finding all his communications with Blackwell, finding the money trail, the operation logs, everything. And in 30 seconds, unless I enter that password, all of it gets uploaded to the Washington Post, New York Times, and every major news network simultaneously. You wouldn't. It would expose you too. Your entire service record, your classified missions, everything you did would be public. I don't care anymore. Elena's voice was steady. I spent 3 years hiding, pretending to be normal, and all it got me was people like you thinking I was weak, thinking I could be controlled. So yes, Amanda, I'll burn it all down. My reputation, my privacy, my life. Because the world needs to know what Blackwell Protocol really is. Then James dies. Then James dies a hero. And you die a monster exposed to the world. The two women stared at each other across the warehouse floor. Chen's weapon came back up. You're not walking out of here alive. Neither are you. The windows exploded inward. Sullivan and his SEAL team came through in a coordinated breach, flashbangs lighting up the warehouse like daylight. The tactical team surrounding James scattered, blind and disoriented. Ina dropped, rolled, came up with the backup weapon she'd hidden in her boot. She put 2 rounds into the nearest hostile, then moved toward James. Sullivan's team was surgical. Controlled bursts, suppressive fire. Within 15 seconds, 5 of the 8 hostiles were down. Chen ran for the back exit. Elena chased her. They crashed through a steel door into an alley. Chen spun, fired wildly. Elena felt a bullet tug at her jacket, but kept moving. They collided, Chen using her weight to drive Elena into a dumpster. Elena's wounded shoulders screamed, but she used the pain, channeled it, drove her elbow into Chen's ribs. Chen gasped, staggered back. "Your sister loved you," Elena said, breathing hard. "She spent 15 years mourning you, and you let her. My sister was weak, couldn't make the hard choices. No, she was human, something you stopped being a long time ago." Chen lunged with a knife Elena hadn't seen. The blade caught Elena's side, burning cold and sharp. Elena grabbed Chen's wrist, twisted, and heard bone crack. Chen screamed, dropped the knife. Elena kicked her legs out. Chen went down hard on the concrete. "It's over," Elena said, her side bleeding, her vision swimming. "Blackwell's finished." "You think this ends with me?" Chen coughed blood. "There are hundreds of us, thousands. We're everywhere, in every agency, every level. You can't stop it. Watch me." Sirens approached, lots of them. FBI. Actual FBI, not compromised assets. Chen's eyes widened as she realized what it meant. The cavalry was coming. Real law enforcement. Real accountability. "They'll never convict us. We have too much dirt on too many people. We'll walk." "Maybe," Elena said. "But you'll do it in the light. Everyone will know who you are, what you did. You'll never hide again." Sullivan appeared in the alley, weapon raised. "Lieutenant, you good?" "Been better. James?" "Alive, pissed off, asking for you." Elena nodded, started to turn, stopped. Chen was reaching for something. A detonator. "If I can't have victory," Chen hissed, "no one can." Elena saw it then. The warehouse, the charges Chen must have placed. James was still inside. Elena ran. She heard Sullivan shouting behind her, heard Chen's laugh turn into a scream as Sullivan put a round through her hand, destroying the detonator. But there was a backup. There was always a backup. Elena crashed through the warehouse door. James was being carried out by 2 SEALs, but they weren't fast enough. The charges were on timers. 10 seconds. Elena grabbed James, shoved the SEALs toward the exit. "Go, now!" They ran. 5 seconds. Elena and James hit the door. The warehouse exploded behind them, a wave of heat and force lifting them off their feet and hurling them into the alley. Elena felt her body slam into concrete, felt her ribs crack, felt blood fill her mouth. But she'd gotten them out. All of them. James was unconscious beside her, but breathing, alive. Sullivan pulled her to her feet. "Medic! Get a medic over here!" "James first," Elena managed. He's fine. You're the one who's bleeding out." Elena looked down. The knife wound in her side was worse than she thought. Deep. Serious. She sat down hard, her back against the alley wall. "Stay with me, LT," Sullivan said. "Medic's coming. Just stay awake." "Did it work?" Elena's voice was fading. "The files. Did they go public?" Sullivan showed her his phone. Every news outlet, every network, all running the same story. Blackwell Protocol exposed. 20 years of illegal operations revealed. "You did it," Sullivan said. "You brought them down." "Good." Elena closed her eyes. "That's good." "Hey, stay awake. You don't get to die after pulling off the biggest exposé in history." "Not dying. Just tired." "Elena, Phoenix, look at me." She opened her eyes. Sullivan's face was serious. "You saved 416 people in your career. You're not allowed to become number 417. You understand? You save yourself, too." Elena smiled. It hurt. "Working on it." The ambulance arrived. Paramedics swarmed. Elena felt hands on her, pressure on the wound, someone starting an IV, and then she felt nothing at all. She woke up 3 days later in a hospital room. Not Metropolitan General. Somewhere else. Military facility, judging by the sounds. James Pock sat in a chair beside her bed, his face bruised but alive. "Hey," he said softly. "Welcome back." "Hey yourself." Elena's voice was rough. "You look like hell." "You should see the other guy." "Oh, wait, you killed most of them." James smiled. "They told me what you did, running into an exploding building to save me. That was stupid." "Yeah, I know." "Thank you." "You're welcome." They sat in silence for a moment. "It's all over the news," James said. 17 arrests, hundreds more expected. The FBI is calling it the biggest corruption scandal in American history, and it's all because of you. Not just me. Sullivan, Morrison, everyone who helped. Senator Morrison wants to give you a medal. Several medals, actually. Tell him to give them to someone who wants them. He figured you'd say that, so instead he's proposing legislation, the Phoenix Act. Mandatory respect and support for veterans transitioning to civilian life. Zero tolerance for discrimination. Full accountability for anyone who abuses their authority over veterans. Elena felt something crack in her chest. He's naming it after me? After what you represent. Someone who served with honor, was treated like garbage, and still chose to save lives instead of taking them. James leaned forward. You changed things, Elena. Not just by exposing Blackwell, by showing people what veterans really are, what they deserve. I just did my job. Yeah, and your job saved a lot of lives, including mine. The door opened. Senator Morrison entered, looking older than he had 3 days ago. Catherine was with him, walking on her own, healed. Commander Reyes, Morrison said. How are you feeling? Like I got blown up. That's because you did. Morrison pulled up a chair. My daughter wanted to see you, to thank you properly. Catherine moved to Elena's bedside. Tears streamed down her face. You saved me twice, Catherine whispered. Once when I was dying, once when they came to kill me, and you didn't even know me. I didn't need to know you, Elena said gently. I just needed to know you deserved to live. Catherine broke down crying. Morrison held his daughter, his own eyes wet. I owe you everything, Morrison said, and I'm going to spend the rest of my career making sure every veteran gets the respect you should have had from the start. Just make sure they get the help they need, Senator. The medical care, the mental health support, the transition assistance. That's what matters. Done. All of it. I promise. They left shortly after. James stayed. So what now? He asked. You've got job offers from every major hospital in the country. Private security firms offering 6 figures. Even the Pentagon wants you to come back as a consultant. Elena looked out the window. Dawn was breaking. A new day. I think I'm done with hospitals for a while. Done with conspiracies and black ops and all of it. Then what? There's this veterans hospital in Seattle. Small, quiet, run by people who care. You know anything about it? James smiled. I might. I might also know they're looking for a head of nursing. Someone with experience. Someone who understands what veterans need. Think I'd be a good fit? I think you'd be perfect. Elena closed her eyes. For the first time in 3 years, she felt something she'd thought was gone forever. Peace. Not the forced quiet of hiding, not the desperate attempts to be normal. Real peace. Earned through fire and blood and impossible choices. She'd exposed Blackwell Protocol. She'd saved innocent lives. She'd proven that one person with courage could change the system. And now, finally, she could rest. Not retire, not hide, but rest, heal. And when she was ready, she'd get back to work doing what she did best, saving lives. Because that's who Phoenix was, not a weapon, not a killer, not a ghost in the machine. A healer, a protector. A woman who'd seen the worst humanity had to offer and still chose to believe in the best. The doctors had laughed at the new nurse. They'd mocked her, humiliated her, tried to break her. But she hadn't broken. She'd risen from the ashes, destroyed an empire of corruption, and saved everyone who'd ever doubted her. And when the wounded SEAL commander had opened his eyes and saluted her, it wasn't just recognition of her past service. It was acknowledgement of who she'd always been, and would always be. A hero. Not because of the medals, or the missions, or the 416 saves, but because when faced with the choice between hiding or fighting, between safety or sacrifice, between darkness or light, she chose the harder path, every single time. And that, in the end, was what made Phoenix immortal. Not the legend, not the story, but the choice to keep fighting, keep saving, keep believing that one person could make a difference. She had, and she always would.